I had become involved in Shiatsu after having a lot of injuries through the martial arts, and I needed a way to kind of help myself recover, and my path took me to Shiatsu. So what I wanted to show you today was just a typical treatment I would do and how I would work with people's bodies and the treatments that I would give. So the first thing in the style of Shiatsu that I study, it was developed by Matsunaga sensei, who was a Japanese bodywork instructor. He pioneered a form of such bodywork that involved two-handed connection. So we always start off with two hands, one hand does the work and one hand's listening. So the hand that does the listening is called the mother hand, and it just sits there and doesn't actually look like it's doing a lot, but actually this is the hand I'm feeding back through, so it creates a loop through the body. This one's doing the work, this one's monitoring the feedback that I get from the work. So if the muscles tense up, if something's painful, I'll pick it up through this hand. What I'm doing at the moment is just gently opening up and getting a feel for what's going on in Kelly's body. Everybody's different. People's bodies change. If you're in a stressed, certain muscles are going to tighten up. If you're nice and chilled out, other muscles are going to be loosened. But there's always something going on. So when you start to treat them off, you just listen to the body and you give something, you just find out what's going on. If I go too hard into the body, it's going to create stress and trauma. And now she's just starting to open up, the spine's just starting to release. And quite often, it's not a case of doing more, it's just waiting and wait for the body to open. Within Shiatsu, we have various tools. We use pressure, we'll use stretching techniques, we'll use rocking techniques. But all the way through, you're always listening and being sensitive to what the body's doing. Now, this shoulder blade here, the trapezius muscle up here, is just locking down and pulling upwards. So I'm just going to gently start working in and opening up the muscle here. So I think it's very important to have a dynamic approach to your body work. So if you go in and say, I'm going to do this X, Y, and Z, you might get there and the body doesn't actually want you to go that way. So by using Matsunaga's connection with both hands, I can get constant feedback on what my work's actually doing and how our body's responding to that, and that dictates the treatment protocol. So the shoulder's very stiff at the moment, so Kelly, if you could just relax your elbow, relax your arm. And now we're starting to get a bit more extra movement in here. And that's loosened up very nicely around here now. So now this side of the spine I feel just needs to open up. So we spent some time opening up and pushing the body this way. So now I'm just going to use gentle pressure. So I'm just taking the body just to the point where it's saying, oh, don't want to go any further. And then you just gently encourage the body to open. So if you're going too hard, the body will just lock down and not want to go anywhere. The legs and hamstrings, particularly for martial artists, are always tight. So all I'm doing here is just allowing the pressure, so I'm just gently pushing down into the muscle, applying my body weight, not pressing into the muscle, so not penetrating, just applying pressure. That was one of the first things we was taught in Shiatsu, was that it's pressure, not penetration that you want. Calves, another very, very tender area on martial artists, and generally the tougher and bigger they are, the more sensitive and gentle you have to be with them. This is a technique that was taught within my school of Shiatsu called rhythmic joint mobilization. Generally, when you're doing joint stuff on yourself, you start working from the end that's closest to the body. Here, I'm using the ankle to create movement within the knee and just gently open it up. All of the muscles that are attached around the knee, around the lower leg, are starting to open. So now I'm just using the body, using the upper leg to open up the hip joint. So from here I can start working into the sacroiliac joint, which is where the spine goes into the pelvis. Again, a big area of problems. And I can actually start working into the psoas muscle, which is the body's true core muscles. So I can start by pulling on here, I'll start opening up and getting in touch with deep muscles that run through the abdomen. So now I've got this nice line open with the body, I can then start applying stretching techniques, which is another technique that we'll use, another tool that the Shiatsu practitioner has in his toolbox. I want the entire leg to come towards me, and I want to go through into her body and bring everything down. So again, I'm not going to pull too hard. If I pull too hard, you'll see the tension in the body trying to withdraw on itself. So I'm just going to apply a slight traction and wait for her body to open and ease. So now I'll move up into the hands. There's lines of connective tissue that start from the shoulders, go all the way down and end in the tips of the fingers. So with the fingers, I'm not actually pulling to open up the finger joints, I'm opening to pull the whole of the shoulders, the arm lines, everything. So I want her whole body to open. We spend a lot of time in the martial arts hitting things, moving very quickly, very dynamically, and it causes the body to seize and withdraw on itself. So this sort of training I've found is, this sort of treatment is essential for martial artists. When you're stretching, make sure you're opening the tissues, you're not just putting them under more trauma. So when I treat someone, I don't treat the muscles like elastic bands, which is how you would often approach it with a stretching session. I approach it like the muscles are made of cotton wool, so I'm gently trying to open and lengthen. If you treat them like an elastic band, you pull them tight, they're going to ping back shorter. So from a martial arts point of view, when we're delivering power, that's a good thing. When you're trying to treat them therapeutically and in a healthy manner, you need to treat them like cotton wool. So gently knead them, gently open them and cause the fibres to open rather than constrict and snag up. So when you finish your treatment, the body's been relying on you to open and it's been listening to you. So now the relationship with the receiver and the therapist has been made. It's not something you want to break away from straight away. So when you finish the treatment, you put your hand on, make a connection, just let the body settle down. So there's a lot of adjustments that have been going on. We've moved, opened, lengthened and adjusted deep tissues within the body, and they're quite subtle but very powerful and pronounced. So the body's kind of in a state where it doesn't really know what to do. So if you break away straight away, the body's kind of left longing. So what you do is you just gently let the body time to settle, give it time to calm itself down, and then break away and just gently sever the connection with the receiver. So that's, obviously I'd work on the other side of the body, but that's a basic Shiatsu treatment that I would give.